Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. I am your humble DM, Tim, and today we are going to be looking through my expedition to the Barrier Peaks maps. Some people on Reddit have expressed an interest in the way that I have built maps as I was showing off how I build them, and also had seen some of the maps that I had built in the different campaigns and asked that I make them available, which I have now started doing. But what I wanted to do was actually run people through these maps so that they know how I use them and how best to use them, and the way that I've actually built them out. So the base maps for all of these is built by Jon Pintar. These were done quite a while ago. His um, ultra realistic maps, I think, is what they were called. So as you can see, all the tiling and everything is all done by him. I've basically just taken his map, put it onto this table, and then using the wall builder that I showed off in one of the previous episodes, link in the description, uh, created all of the walls basically so that you can use the fog of war to allow your players to explore it. When I was creating this, I was using the Goodman Games update, which is a phenomenal conversion of the Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Absolutely top-notch work. Cannot recommend that enough. And so I actually built a few additional bits and pieces because they actually added some expanded encounters into the book. So I added those in. As in addition, after I actually ran my game and I wanted to make this more interesting, I took the liberty of creating custom miniatures for the Vegapygmies on Hero Forge. So you get the Vegapygmy regular ones, the elites, and then, of course, the chiefs are just upscaled versions. It's just an elite with the scale made bigger. The Thornies are a dingo miniature because there really isn't a way to find like a plant-based dog. At least I wasn't going to create one. It was just one of the ones that I found, I believe, from... It was from Textured D&D Minis. I'll put that link in the description as well to that workshop. And yeah, so the walls, as you can see, it's just single paneled walls. The doors are different colors. I created skeletons because there are actually not there isn't, but there are, where are we? Let me see if I can find one. There are a few instances where, here we go, there are bones on the ground. So I thought just having them as a raised up miniature would make that a bit more interesting. But anyway, let's work through this from right to left. We'll go counterclockwise. So when you first enter through the ship, which is through this door here, basic instructions. Actually, first things first. So when operating this map as the DM, if you've got your players in here, you'll have your fog of war. So, for example, we've got the fog of war there, which will blank out most of the things. However, when you add your revealer, it will allow them to see only what you want them to see. You can cover the whole map in the fog of war. It's been designed that way specifically. Simply to get rid of the doors, there are two methods. I would generally just hit the L button to unlock the panel and then just lift it away or delete it. And then that will reveal the different areas as they move forward. You can also use the move tool, but that will get in the way of the fog of war. So definitely use the unlock function. And so as they move around, unlocking the doors will allow them to see through. And basically, that will let them let your players explore through as naturally as they would, without having to cover off a massive map with bits of paper. What I've also built is a series of the robots, because the robots in the Expedition to the Barrier Peaks are some of the more interesting encounters. And of course, I wanted to make custom miniatures for those. So I got a hold of Blender as well as some other miniatures from Thingiverse and modified them. So this here is the repair bot. You can see I've already put a picture up of what the repair bot actually looks like, and I think I nailed that one. This is actually based off the robot from the Black Hole. Vincent, I think his name was. I just modified that miniature there. Moving around through the halls, you have the first security area, the security precinct. I have created these here. I'll move him out into a corridor so you can see him better. The guard robot. Let me get in there. There we go. So you can see what that thing looks like normally. And of course, we have his little first security station with the basic display. And then you have the room with all the broken guard bots and the first worker that people are likely to encounter. Let me just move him into an area so we can check him out. There we go. So these are all ones that I built based on a Star Wars medical droid that I found on Thingiverse, just adding the different components. Unfortunately, was unable to texture them as I'm not really that skilled. As I was saying with Jon Pintar, he has done a fantastic job with doing the details in these rooms. So I didn't feel it was necessary to actually build, like put all the furniture and things like that. I just thought that would make it very, very excessive. So for the most part, I've left them just blank as the rooms. Like if there's nothing in there, you say, you see a table, you see chairs. There's like nothing of note. For the rooms that have something a bit more interesting, this room here, for example, in the Goodman Games version, has a bunch of irradiated food stores that turn into ochre jellies, I believe. And so I created the shelves there to make the players more curious and actually to give off to better illustrate what is actually there. As we come down this corridor here, we have the Displacer Beast colony, as well as probably one of the more favorite encounters. We have the two doctors, or the nurse, I should say. Here is the nurse. Another custom miniature that I did from Hero Forge. And over here, we have the surgery doctor and his bizarre surgical table that will dissect your players. These also have two modes as well. I created a mode with scrubs on and scrubs off, depending on what you want to do. I prefer the scrubs off, but I didn't really consider that when I was building it first, so I had the two different miniature versions, so you get access to both. As we move around here, we have another worker robot in this room here. The miniature or the dwarf phase spiders with their web and the recreation area. This, in the original Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, doesn't really have anything of note in it. However, in the Goodman Games version, these are virtual reality pods, which lead to like a little side game called the Venomous Warlord, which is another map I have also created. Not quite finished yet for the upload, but it will be uploaded at a future date, so watch this space. Around here, these are like the officers' quarters, so I've made these more detailed so that people can actually check them out. As we move further around, we come across the Screaming Hall, or the Shrieking Halls. It's the hall with a bunch of shriekers, and of course the second colony of Vegapygmies. And you also get up here, probably one of my favorite alternative encounters. This is an area where a bunch of the crew members that actually held up as they were dying of the disease. This is in the Goodman Games expansion. So I've created this little area here with the worker robot that was tending to them, as well as all the dead bodies. But probably the coolest thing in here is this little thing here. It's a security station with a skeleton trapped inside a powered exoskeleton. You can see the artwork there. And this doesn't really have, it's not actually an encounter, but you can actually take the exoskeleton off the body and utilize it. Basically what happened to this poor guy is he was wearing the powered exoskeleton and it froze up on him and he couldn't move and he died standing up. He starved to death and just died locked in his suit, which is pretty horrific when you think about it, but a very awesome visual. Around the corner here, we have the Will-O-Wisp encounters. Whenever there's like a random computer, looks like the screen's working, and then the Will-O-Wisps will come out and attack you. There's another one over here as well. This is the recreation or the arts and recreation area. So there's just a bit of art here, a place for people to sit down, a couple of pottery wheels, and this statue converts into a grey ooze. Moving along here, we have the Doppelganger colony. These are also custom miniatures that I built from Hero Forge to be the Doppelgangers. I'm pretty proud of how they turned out. And then as we go back across, the initial Veg Pygmy colony, the much larger one, and of course, actually, probably the first encounter that people are going to come across, I probably should have mentioned that too, is this skeleton is here, and above it is a trapper that drops down on your players. So the way that I've built the maps is if the encounters are a bit more spread out, I've just kept the miniature nearby and you can just place it wherever you want to for when the encounter occurs, or I'll just have them sitting off the side of the map, so depending on when you need them. I think I've got basically all of the encounters set up. Over here there is the Berserk android. If you go, it's laying on the ground, and if the your party goes to investigate it, it goes berserk and attacks them. And then of course the core. This area here, you got the prison cells. Here, the primary guard station. We have here the primary security guard's office with the dead skeleton artwork up there, sitting at the desk or laying at the desk as it is. And of course, the first suit of power armor, which is there. And we have the core, which is the main computer section with the 3 dead bodies, unfortunate for them. The first storage area, mostly storing food, and then the weapons storage with the actual functioning suit of power armor. Over here, we have the library computers, where if they can learn the language of the ship, the players can learn all about the stuff there. You have the medical worker that's been working on the cure for the disease that wiped out the crew. The mold, which was a byproduct of the plague, and then, of course, the chemical storage. There's also another medical bed there because it's actually a different medical lab. And I think for the first floor, that's pretty much it. A few just random skeletons laying about. But yeah, that is it for the first floor. So moving on to the second floor map. So level 2, or the tween decks. There really isn't a great deal to this level. The only major encounter is, of course, the Intellect Devourer, which is there. And depending on where they go down, you'll find the body of the captain, or the maintenance engineer who's been burnt up using one of the heat rays taken out by the Mind Flayer. I've also created for these level a 3D version of the little sled cart that you can use. And there is, of course, way back here in the corner, the repair bot in his charging station. But other than that, pretty straightforward. You just got the charts up and down. And yeah, again, this just goes down to Jon Pintar's work, just building it over the top. The next level, of course, level 3. Takes a little bit to load in. I've got this set up so it's not... I've turned off the mod caching so to make sure that it loads everything in. So this is the Overlook level for the garden level, so the recreation areas. We have here the alpha Grix and the Grells, I should say, and then the Grix over here. You have the different robot storage. You have the servo bot, the robot that force feeds people the food in the cafeteria. Here he's just got a different head. As you can see, he's still built off basing the Star Wars medical bot. The Flumph, of course, more of them. Moving it around this area here, these columns are actually ropers. So I've got these built. I've got these built so that you can push the button and they will spring out and become the ropers. All three of them do that. Whoop, I got that one stuck on the floor now. Their hitboxes are a little bit weird, but they work in terms of, for practicality's sake, they can still work. You just got to make sure to move them around. If they get a little bit weird, you can just stand them on their heads and that'll get them to stand still if you need them to. I think for the most part, they're not really going to, your players aren't really going to be chasing these things around. The best way to do it is to let them come in here and then activate the ropers and just keep them fighting the ropers in the enclosed space here where they can't get out. I've created these little swarms just using bees to be the web bird flocks. And of course, you have your elevators up and down. And this is the dead body. In the floor above, there's actually a hole that leads down to this area. So that's the area that lines up with that. And then, of course, you have the overlook into the awesome Arboretum area. And this cool-looking island in the middle. Level 4 is probably one of the favorite ones. Here you have all the different plants. I had to create these using the images on the underside here for the globe palms because no real miniature, no adequate miniature I thought existed. The flower fronds are represented here by these ones here. These aren't quite accurate, but they'll do the good enough job. You've got the peace tree, the flail snail. Now, one thing I think, here we go here. So this area here, all the different encounters that they're going to come across are here. So you've got the strangle vines, the rot grubs, the rabbitoids, the slugs, the lizardoids, the squealers, the adolescent squealers, the baboonoids, the cruels, I believe they're called, and of course the frog hemoth. And you've also got the lizardoids in their in their enclosure, the Arumvirax, and my favorite monster of all is, of course, the one here, which is the wolf in sheep's clothing. So I've built this in 3 states. So you've got the regular one there. You can have your players move up to it. Oh, look, there's a little rabbit on a stump. And if they decide they want to investigate further, the tentacles come out and the battle encounter begins. And this thing is actually able to be moved around. And you can just put it back to 1. This also comes off if they go inside, just to make things able to be moved around. The lower levels of the lake are actually in the different levels further on down. This area here is the trash robots doing work over here, and then you've got this plant area with the horrid plants. And I'm fairly certain this area here is actually designed as I'm not sure whether it was in the original or not, but in the Goodman's Games one, this was an area where if the players go in there, they actually get like incinerated. This is like built as an incinerator, and of course you got the elevators to the lower levels, and these are the ramps going down, which we'll see in the levels later on. The other thing too about this floor is that all the plants are actually they're mobile, so all of these are designed to be able to be lifted up and moved. So if you can actually pick up the purple blossoms and move them, since they actually have combat stats as well. Okay, moving on to the next floor. As I stated before, level 5 has the second middle level of the lake. Only real encounters this one here is the green mold, the slithering tracker, which goes there. You have another go-kart, as well as a repair bot station. nothing really of note on this floor apart from the elevators. All pretty straightforward. And yeah, moving on down. All right, final floor for this release at least is the recreation deck. This is the one that's had probably the biggest revamp since when I played it, because when I originally built these things, I didn't have these ramps. I didn't fully understand how the structure of the ship worked. It was a little bit confusing. So there are ramps that lead from level 4 past level 5 down into level 6, and these are what those ramps are. You can also use the lifts if you want to as well. I also built the stadium seating so that you've actually got elevated levels there. A little bit of trick if you're using this with a fog of war, which I highly recommend you do because it makes the exploration a hell of a lot better. But when you cover these in a fog of war, they will go away. However, if you have a revealer, they will likely only reveal the bottom level. So what you will need to do to reveal these elevated sections is using the revealer, change the height, and just drag it up until you can see all the floors. That's all. You'll just need to do that a couple of times with the areas that have got slightly elevated levels. The bits that have elevated levels in this are the stadium seating, of course. In here, you have the theaters with the different stages. There's the red, so representing the curtains. And of course, there's another theater set of stages here. We have the shriekers built into the floor here. They don't go anywhere. And I've got a piercer because there's a whole bunch of piercers above this area here. So you can just take that away and spawn them as required. I have built custom miniatures for the different androids. So in this area here, the recreation area, you have the boxing robot, the karate robot, the fencing robot, and of course the weightlifting robot. And there's also generic androids spattered about the place as well that you can utilize as you see fit. Other than the... Oh, yeah, sorry, over here, of course. Forgot about this one. This is a... What's... Oh, I don't know. Oh, whoops, hang on. That's not meant to be the case. What we have here is a stunted eye of the deep. So it's basically a beholder that is aquatic. So it's like half crab, half beholder. So that's what that is there. That's actually under the water, so you probably want to despawn that. The skeleton... Oh, that's right. That's why that was there. Sorry. The skeleton that was there was... it's actually an illusion designed to lure your players down. So you have the skeleton miniature there first. When they get near it, you push the button. It turns into the stunted eye of the deep, and then rah. That's why there was the two miniatures there. Sorry, I'd forgotten why I'd done that. Other than that, the main boss area, if you want to call that, that is the boulette, which is being tended to by the worker robots and being thawed out. And then, of course, this door here is the exit. I've included a sled here because when I ran my version of the game, the boulette was being controlled by the Mind Flayer. Speaking of, actually, I nearly forgot the Mind Flayer. He is situated right here, and I've built a custom Mind Flayer for you. He's wearing a suit of modified power armor, as well as having the disruptor pistol or the disintegrating pistol. The pistols are weird, sort of like mirror construct things, and holding a grenade. So, whoop, there he goes. So there's the Mind Flayer. When you download that, you'll get access to this miniature as well. A little quite tricky to actually build this guy, but a lot of fun. And yeah, you've got the boulette, and if your players end up, as is written in the book, the workers basically throw the party outside, and they fight outside the ship, and unable to get back inside against the boulette, and that's like the final encounter. So if you have just a basic square battle map, that's all you really need for that encounter. And yeah, that is everything all done. Yeah, so as a basic tour through. That's what you'll get access to from the Steam Tabletop Simulator Workshop. Not there's no cost or anything involved. This is all free because a lot of the assets are not mine, but all the Hero Forge miniatures that I've custom built for this, I'm just letting people have access to them. So I hope you enjoy using them as much as I did. I will eventually be running another version of this game again. So if anyone is keen to have a run through, or has a group of people that would like to have a run through, they can get in contact with me either through the comments section, the Dnd Blender Facebook. We're also on Instagram, so it's all the same. All the links will be down below. I have also recently kicked off a Patreon, where so if you like what I do on this channel and would like to fling some money my way, please do so. Link will also be in the description. Oh yeah, final thing. This is the Steam room for the Doppelganger encounters. The Doppelgangers miniatures are found on level 1. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this tour through my expedition to the Barrier Peak maps. As I said before, links for all these downloads will be in the description, and may all your adventures be as entertaining as I have found it when I ran through this. But yeah, until next time, everyone, remember to keep on blending.